Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, the 2026 NFL Pro Bowl rosters have been revealed. And to no one's surprise, the Commanders have one Pro Bowler. At least they have one, right? There are 3 teams in the NFL this year that have none. I am glad the Commanders are not among them. However, and first and foremost, can I just say, shout out to Tress, okay? You can say what you want about punters, specialists, they're not real humans, all the things that we've heard people say over the years. But there's been one constant in Washington, whether it's Jay Gruden, or it was Ronald Rivera, or it is Dan Quinn, it's been Tress, right? The one guy that has been the constant professional, the one guy that we've been able to count on through all of this dysfunction, through 3 different regimes in Washington. Tress has been the one guy we've been able to count on consistently. He's the guy that everyone loves in this area. He's a fan favorite. Very, very reliable. He's Tress. Some call him the MVP, the real MVP. Shout out to Tress for being the one and only Commanders Pro Bowler in 2025. That said, Tress, I'm not saying he shouldn't be at the Pro Bowl, but if we were going to have one representative this year, it should not have been Tress. We could have had 2. Tress doesn't have to give up his spot just so we could have one. Why can't we have 2? We had a Commander snubbed this year, and it was as blatant as the day is long. And look, I'm not one to talk about Pro Bowls and who got snubbed because really, frankly, I usually don't care. The Pro Bowl is a farce. It's a joke. Anytime you allow fans to have input on a decision that guys on the field usually handle, you're going to have these types of mishaps. But with that said, I got to stand up for ours. We don't have much. So I got to stand up for the one guy that should have been a Pro Bowler this year. I would argue he should be a damn All-Pro. These are the list of the 2026 tackles for the Pro Bowl in the NFL this season. 3 for the NFC, 3 for the AFC. Your tackles are Penei Sewell, Trent Williams, and Tristan Wirfs in the NFC. And in the AFC, Joe Alt, Garrett Bowles, and Dion Dawkins in the AFC. Now, I just want to pick this apart very quickly. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because this is utterly ridiculousness, okay? And this is how you know the Pro Bowl is a joke. And the thing that is sad about this is guys get paid off of how many Pro Bowls they've made. Guys go to the Hall of Fame based off of how many Pro Bowls, how many All-Pros they have. And this is the kind of nonsense that is being done. Okay, Penei Sewell is definitely a Pro Bowler. So is Trent Williams, the future first ballot Hall of Famer. Tristan Wirfs has missed 4 games this season. He missed the first 3 games of the season. He missed another game in week 14. He's been battling injuries most of the season. He has not, I repeat, not been better than Laremy Tunsil this season. He has not been. And just so we're clear, Laremy just missed the past game against the Philadelphia Eagles, his first game he's missed this season. He missed parts of the Chiefs game earlier this season. These Pro Bowl votes went in 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Laremy Tunsil, up until 2 weeks ago, was one of the top 3 tackles in the NFC. This is ridiculous. Just to further my point that this is nothing more than a dog and pony show. Joe Alt, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Alt has played in a total of 6 games this season. 6. We're going into week 17. Joe Alt hasn't played since week 9. You remember when we played the Chargers, he didn't even play. We've been through 16 games this season, and Joe Alt has, 15 games this season, and Joe Alt has only participated in 6, yet he's a Pro Bowler? Now, I get it. That's on the AFC side, but it just furthers my point that this is a joke, okay? Pro Bowlers are a joke. They're for the kids. And if we're going to treat it as such, if we're going to allow the kids to spam the vote and make the Pro Bowler list every year, then we shouldn't count it as anything serious. We shouldn't be talking about a guy's a 10-time. This doesn't mean what it once did when a guy's a 10-time Pro Bowler. It's a popularity contest. Oh, I know Joe Alt's name, so I'm going to pick him. Oh, I know Tristan Wirfs' name, so I'm going to pick him. Laramie Tunsil has been better than Tristan Wirfs this season. Sorry, not sorry. You don't like it? Go argue with your auntie. Go argue with your mama, your auntie, your grandma. Don't argue with me. Our guy, Laramie Tunsil, got snubbed. And nobody's talking about it because he's Laramie Tunsil. Because we're 4-11. I get it. This is why I usually don't do this. Nobody cares. I usually don't care. But we got nothing this year. And the one guy that's been a shining star on this offense this season, on this team for that matter, has been Laramie Tunsil. And you're going to tell me he wasn't worth a Pro Bowl nod? On a guy that hadn't played in a quarter of the games this season? Man, that's it's pretty disgusting if you ask me. But that's the Pro Bowl these days. It's not like when I was growing up, when the Pro Bowl actually meant something, where guys actually participated. This thing is like I said, this thing is a bono. It's called the Pro Bowl games now. It's not even a real game anymore. They should just do away with it, and they shouldn't allow. Like when I was growing up, fans could vote, and the fan vote was like a third of the Pro Bowl voting, right? So it was like a third of what mattered, what counted towards a guy getting into, the Pro Bowl or not. It's amazing what this thing has deteriorated into, but I digress. Laramie Tunsil should have been a Pro Bowler this year. That's pretty much the gist of what I had to say. Shout out to Tress for giving us 1 Pro Bowler this year. He should have been joined by Tress or by Laramie Tunsil. And if you say, Commanders, you stink, you only get 1, then Laramie Tunsil should have been that one. Laramie Tunsil should have been that one. But I digress. Listen, doesn't matter how many games you win. Because the Browns suck, Myles Garrett doesn't get to go to the Pro Bowl? Is that how that works? I see people just saying random shit in the comment section. Oh, we suck. We shouldn't have any Pro Bowl. Well, if that's the case, Myles Garrett and his 22 sacks shouldn't be going to the Pro Bowl. For what? The Browns are awful. He shouldn't go anywhere. Guys like Jeffrey Simmons, who plays on the Titans, he shouldn't go anywhere because he plays for the Titans. They suck. He shouldn't go anywhere. That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. Max Crosby is one of the best defensive players in the league. He shouldn't be allowed to go to the Pro Bowl because he plays for the Raiders? That's stupid. It's dumb. Makes absolutely no sense. If you're one of the best players at your position, you should be recognized as such. Anyway, I digress. Let's go on to in other news. We heard from Kliff Kingsbury today, so we'll talk about what he said. We have a roster update. That roster update that I'm about to share with you, it's so Commanders 2025 shit. It's such a 2025 Commanders roster update. God, I can't wait for this season to be over. This is ridiculous. And we're going to do our Tankathon Week 16 update today as well. But before we do any of that, let's get a word from our sponsor, come back on the other side, and then we'll dive in to all of those items. See you on the other side. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, so we are in other news, and I want to quickly divert your attention to some Commanders news from today. We have waived wide receiver Jamal Agnew with a failed physical. If this isn't Commanders 2025 shit right here, I don't know what is. We can't even sign a guy to replace a guy that's out for the season without him being injured and having to cut him because he's not physically able to play. Nothing encapsulates the Commanders 2025 season like this right here. We have no one to return punts or kickoffs, so they go out and get a former Pro Bowl All-Pro kick returner / punt returner and Jamal Agnew to finish up these final 2 games, maybe hopefully give us a spark on special teams. They give the man a physical, and he fails the physical because he's not healthy enough to be signed to a contract for these final 2 weeks. If this isn't 2025 Commanders, I don't know what is. So we'll see if they do something here. I mean, what are you going to do here with less than 48 hours before we take on the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Day? Yikes. I hate it here, man. Get me out of here. Get me out of here as fast as possible. Just pure nastiness. So, no Jamal Agnew. I guess Chris Moore will be returning kickoffs yet again. And maybe, just maybe, Antonio Hamilton Sr. will be back on punts again. Lord have mercy on all of us. Lord have mercy on all of us. Let's take a look at the Tankathon for week number 16. So 16 weeks in the books. We're heading down home stretch, final 2 weeks of the season. And so the Commanders, with their win over the Giants in week 15 and then the subsequent loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in week 16, they are now 4-11, holding the 7th overall pick in the draft. Now, none of the things that we wanted to go in our favor did go in our favor last week. Arizona was not able to beat the Atlanta Falcons at home. New York Jets were not able to go on the road and beat the New Orleans Saints, but we said we could not lose that game. It was just more favorable for us to have the Jets win that game because the Saints would be playing the Titans the following week. But now, all of a sudden, New Orleans is behind us because, again, we couldn't lose. Either the Jets were going to be behind us or the Saints were going to be behind us. The Saints being behind us is big because we're not going to win a 5th game this season, okay? So we can't catch up to the Cincinnati Bengals, the New Orleans Saints. Cincinnati won. That was a good result for us. We knew they were going to beat Miami. Well, I knew they were going to beat Miami. There was no guarantee there, but the Dolphins are a mess. So Cincinnati getting their 5th win. Look, all I can tell you right now with certainty, we couldn't say this with certainty last week. Last week, I told you couldn't fall any further down than 9th. Right? 9 is that's pretty low, though. You don't want to fall to the 9th pick. Now the Commanders can't fall any worse than 7th in the draft because they're not going to win a 5th game. So the line of delineation, right? Clear delineation is at 7 for the Commanders. They can only go up from 7, okay? And I'm going to show you some key games this week that you should be paying attention to after the Commanders take the field on Thursday. Then you should turn your attention squarely to the games that will take place on Sunday. And we'll go over some of those contests that could alter this lineup in order for the draft. But a couple of developments from last week. So the Titans won last week against the Chiefs, which none of us saw coming. But obviously, Gardner Minshew going down to a torn ACL relatively early in that game opened the door for the Titans to get their third win of the season. And look, the Titans played the Saints this week. If the Titans go on the road, and I think that actually might be a home game. We'll see. They may be on the road, but it doesn't matter. Home, away, I would prefer them to be home to give them a better shot. But whatever the case may be, if the Titans somehow upset the Saints, because I said upset because the Saints are now winners of 3 straight. The importance of New Orleans winning last week was, you see their win percentage or their strength of schedule. It's lower than ours. It's the only team other than Cleveland with a lower strength of schedule than the one that we currently have. So in essence, if any of these teams, and none of these teams' strength of schedule are even remotely close to ours, we play in a bad division, and most of these teams play in really good divisions. So if they somehow end up tied with us, which is let me give you, for instance, right? Giants in Vegas play this week. Someone's getting their third win. Someone's going to have a chance to win a 4th game potentially in week 18. Now, both teams play pretty, tough competition. I think the Vegas Raiders play the, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Raiders play they've already played the Broncos. They think they play the Chiefs. They could win that game. The Raiders could win that game. So if the Raiders beat the Giants this week, the Raiders could beat the Chiefs in week 18 and end up with 4 wins. You see their strength of schedule. We're jumping in front of them, right? Like anything can happen. So I say all that to say this. Arizona has a winnable game this week. They probably won't win. The one they needed to win was last week. They didn't. I don't expect Arizona to win another game this season, but I didn't expect Tennessee to win another game. I didn't expect, New Orleans to win 3 straight. So anything's possible. But if Arizona, Tennessee, or the Jets, who all have tougher strength of schedules than us, win a game, we jump in front of them. So again, with the win by Tennessee, which I did not see coming, there's a real chance, like a lot would have to happen. Obviously, I am aware. But the Commanders could get as high as the 3rd pick in the draft. And check this out. If Cleveland decides they want to win 2 straight to finish up this season, and stranger things have happened, right? If I'm not mistaken, Cleveland has Pittsburgh this week, which we've seen them upset Pittsburgh at home probably each of the last 2 or 3 seasons, or at least 3 out of the last 4 seasons, or 2 out of the last 3 seasons. We know it happened last year in the snow with Jameis Winston. So they're no stranger to beating the Steelers when the Steelers least expect it. We gotta have them win a 5th game, though. We can't have a tie with the Cleveland Browns because their strength of schedule isn't the best because their division isn't good. Their division is a lot like ours, but the big difference is they don't have a Philadelphia in their division. They don't have a 10, win team in their division holding it up. So if they beat Pittsburgh, that hurts their strength of schedule even more, right? It's going to raise it because Pittsburgh's record is solid, but if they beat them, it's going to knock their record down a little bit. So ultimately, I don't think our strength of schedule is going to, because we play the Eagles again, and that's going to boost our strength of schedule as well, right? Assuming the Eagles, we don't know what they're going to do. They could beat Buffalo this week. Josh Allen has an ankle. Isn't that so Philadelphia that they play a team with their best player compromised? Doesn't it always seem like the Eagles? I talked about the luck metric. They didn't want to hear it. They laughed at me, told me I was crazy. But yet, every time you look up, the Eagles are playing a team compromised. They just played the Raiders without Geno Smith. And I'm not telling you Geno Smith is some all-world quarterback. I guarantee you they finish with over 100 yards of total offense if Geno Smith is out there. It's very convenient that they play the Raiders without their starting quarterback when they were riding a 3-game skid. They were struggling. They needed to see Kenny Pickett. If that's not luck, I don't know what is, right? They didn't need luck to beat the Raiders, but it damn sure helps when you're riding a 3-game losing streak and you need some confidence. Marcus Mariota goes out of the game in the third quarter of a game that you're actually losing to a 4-win team. Like, again, I can't make this stuff up, but they don't want to hear about luck. Now they're going to get a compromised Josh Allen if they get one at all. This has been the story of their season. Anyway, I digress. Our strength of schedule is going to improve over the next 2 weeks. We played, Dallas isn't going to really do much to, mess with the strength of schedule, but the Eagles will in week 18, right? So ultimately, we're not catching up to Arizona, Tennessee, or the Jets strength of schedule wise, but I don't think we're going to be able to, have Cleveland surpass us in strength of schedule. So what I'm basically saying is Cleveland would have to win 2 games. We need a lot to happen to get to the 3rd pick because Cleveland is going to be ahead of us, right? The Giants, more likely than not, I can't see the Giants, but look, the Giants play the Raiders and then they play the Cowboys. This is what I'm saying. Like the Giants or the Vegas Raiders could win 2 straight to finish up the season. It's highly unlikely. But then again, who thought the Saints would win 3 straight games? You just never know in this league. Someone's winning this week between the Giants and the Raiders. And then both teams play teams that are out of the playoffs that, are playing for nothing in week 18 and anything could happen. So I said all of that to say this. Arizona could win this week. We're going to take a look at the schedule here in a second. Tennessee could win this week. They're playing the Saints. The Jets, not going to win this week. They're playing New England. But you never know what's going to happen with the Jets in week 18. I think they play the Bills in week 18. If the Bills don't need that game, and we just talked about Josh Allen having an injured ankle. If the Bills can't win the division, I don't think they're going to give a shit where they're playing in the playoffs. They want a healthy Josh Allen. They sit their starting quarterback. The Jets could easily win in week 18. They finish with a 4-13 record like us. They go beneath us. We go up. So there is a path to the Commanders ending up with the 4th or the 3rd even pick. I feel like we're going to get as high as 5, though. That's what it feels like. So let's take a look at the schedule this week. And here are some key games, right? So Patriots-Jets, big game. For obvious reasons, if the Jets somehow upset the Patriots, which isn't going to happen, the Jets would get their 4th win, and we would surpass them in the draft order, right? Because of strength of schedule. The Patriots are going to do a super number on their strength of schedule. The Patriots are an 11-win team that's going to send their strength of schedule through the roof. So the Jets are one of those teams that they just get to 4 wins like us, they got no chance, right? I think the Patriots are a 12-win team. Excuse me. I think they're a 12-win team, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're 12-3. So it's going to send their strength of schedule through the roof. Jets aren't winning that game, though. So we that's not one you need to really focus your attention on. You just keep an eye on it. Oh, shit, the Jets are up 7-0. Then they end up losing 33-7. But Steelers and Browns, that's one you should be very intrigued by. Again, the Browns would need to basically win out in order for us to leapfrog them. Their strength of schedule isn't very tough, and it's not going to get that much, more of a boost with their final 2 contests. But they could definitely beat the Steelers at home. Saints-Titans is one of the biggest games for us this week. Titans are at home. That's a beautiful thing. You should be rooting like hell for the Tennessee Titans. This is your biggest root of the week. If the Titans somehow win 2 in a row and get to 4 wins, it's a miracle on Christmas week, and you should be counting your lucky stars because you've got a great chance of getting a top 5 pick at that point if the Titans can somehow get out of the way. And a win would absolutely do that. Saints are hot right now. They're more likely going to go in there and bust shit up, but boy, you should be rooting like hell for a Titans win. And then the next biggest game, it's really 1A, 1B. Cardinals on the road at Cincinnati doesn't feel like a winnable game necessarily, but damn it, you should be rooting just like you were last week. You should be rooting like hell for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, a win by the Cardinals, a win by the Titans. They both have 4 wins, and they both have way tougher strength of schedules than we do. We would leapfrog both of those teams should they win on Sunday. We know the Commanders are losing on Thursday. So you should be rooting like hell for the Tennessee Titans. You should be rooting like hell for the Arizona Cardinals. And then it doesn't really matter who wins this game here. Somebody's got to win. Giants, Raiders, someone's going to get their 3rd win of the season. Obviously, a tie could happen. That wouldn't benefit anyone. But someone's going to win this game. Someone's going to get to a 3rd win. And then someone's going to have a chance to win a 4th game in Week 18 because both of these teams will be playing, teams with losing records and teams that are out of playoff contention in Week 18. Raiders will be playing the Chiefs. And the Giants will be playing the Dallas Cowboys. So both of these teams will have a chance to finish this season on a 2-game heater. And if that happens, we leapfrog that team. So again, we're not out of this thing yet for a top 5 pick. We can get as high as 3. We need a lot to happen for that to take place. 5 is a lot more feasible. I wouldn't be shocked if it's just 6, like one team, say the Titans win. They fall behind us, and that's it. Nobody else, wins another game. Raiders and Giants don't win 2 more games. They just win 1. Someone's going to win this game, obviously. Don't win next week. Cardinals don't win here, don't win in Week 18, and that's basically it. Cardinals have the Rams in Week 18. If the Rams are playing for the division, which the NFL is going to set it up where the Rams are playing for the division, they're going to have to go win that game. So the Cardinals aren't going to get a freebie next week. They got to beat Cincinnati this week. I can tell you right now, their head coach is coaching for his job, so he's trying to win. Hopefully, if they love their coach, Jonathan Gannon, they'll go out and find a way to beat Cincinnati on the road. But those are the 2 big ones. And then Giants, Raiders, someone's going to win. Similar to the Titans, similar to the Jets and Saints from last week, somebody's got to win. The only difference is last week, it didn't matter who won. The winner was going to be behind us in the draft order. Doesn't matter who wins this game. They're still going to be ahead of us in the draft order. It just puts them in a position that they could be behind us with another win in week number 18. So those are the real, 4 matchups, really. Browns, Steelers, Browns. That one's on the outskirts. Same with the Jets, Patriots. Like, if you want to keep an eye on it, knock yourself out. But the likelihood is that those teams aren't going to win. And we need, the Browns to win twice. So it really doesn't do you, any good necessarily that the Browns win this game, other than it puts them one step closer, similar to the Giants and Raiders, one step closer to potentially being behind you in the draft order. But the Jets, if they lose, they go directly behind us. So that's a big one. But again, they're not going to, if the Jets win, they go directly behind us, but they're not going to win that game. Saints Titans is a huge one. You're rooting like hell for the Titans. Saints winning does no good for us. The Saints are already behind us, and we can't catch up to them because they've already got a 5th win. We don't need the Saints to win again. We need the Titans to win. Cardinals are sitting there at 3-12. A win would be massive. They would jump behind us and stay behind us because their strength of schedule. They play in the best division in football. Their strength of schedule is through the roof. They play the Rams next week. That's going to send their strength of schedule even higher. So we just need the Cardinals to win. If they don't win this week, they're not going to win next week against the Rams. So that's another really big one on the schedule. So that is your look at the Tankathon. I know you guys hate that as much as I do, but that's the state of our affairs right now. So you got to lean into where you are, right? You got to lean into it. Don't run from it. Lean into it. So Kliff had a presser today. It was short. One of his shortest press conferences in a while, which I think we're all tired now. We're all, ready to hit the finish line at this point. He was asked about a short prep week. And, when I hear Kliff and short prep week in the same sentence, I just think about how poorly Kliff game plans for condensed weeks. I imagine that this is going to be a nightmare of a game offensively for us, just off the strength that Kliff is not good in these short Thursday quick turnarounds. The extra day might help him because this was not a Sunday, then Thursday turnaround. It was Saturday and then Thursday. So maybe the fifth day gives Kliff the extra time he needs to put together a half decent game plan. But then you add into the mix that it's Josh Johnson, and there's absolutely zero chance they're successful on offense. When you look at Kliff's track record on Thursdays and short weeks, and then you compound that with Josh Johnson, your third string quarterback, making the start, there's absolutely no way that this offense looks anything like an actual NFL offense on Thursday. They're going to get embarrassed. It's going to be bad. It's going to look like the preseason. That's what I thought, what I think to myself. And so hearing this question, it just made me think, you got no chance, Kliff. And he basically said, and this is part of the reason why I think he struggles when he says things like, remember what he said against Minnesota? I'm going to go back in my notes and see if I can find it. So that game was 3 weeks ago. So this was Kliff's presser this past week. That was the Eagles one. This was the Giants one. So this one was the Vikings. And on Brian Flores' defense, he basically said they switch it up so often on a weekly basis from a schematic standpoint that it's better for you to just run your stuff. Don't necessarily game plan for how to beat Brian Flores' defense. Just run your stuff. And how'd that work out for us, by the way? How not game planning to combat Brian Flores' blitz looks and, the aggression of mugging the line of scrimmage with all kinds of defenders and then dropping out into zones and things of that nature. How'd that work out for us? Okay, we got shut out. All right. So Kliff's rebuttal to a short prep week is, quote, focus on concepts we like to run. Huh. When did we hear that one before? Oh, yeah, that's right. The Minnesota game when we didn't score. Okay, so don't worry about what Dallas does on defense. They're not good anyway, right? Same shit. We didn't say that about Minnesota. We said Brian Flores is one of the best in the business, but we also said that it behoove you to figure out what Minnesota is trying to do and be ready for it. And he's like, nah, we'll just work on our stuff. Okay, short week, third string quarterback. Let's not worry about Dallas. Let's just do the things we like to do. Okay, if you say, we'll see how this goes. This was a great question. DQ always talks about guys and their superpowers. So someone asked, what is Josh Johnson's superpower? And I was like, hey, Kliff, yeah, what is Josh Johnson's superpower anyway? This is a great answer. And I was sitting there like the family member all the way at the end on Family Feud who's waiting for the person who's the spokesman for the family to answer a question so I can either say, good answer, or go, what? Show me? So I'm looking down the line at Kliff like, what is Josh Johnson's superpower? And then Kliff proceeds to say, experience. Good answer, Kliff. Good answer. Show me experience / mind. Ding! That was the number one answer. Like, what else are you going to say about Josh Johnson? He's been on 57 different teams. He's been in the league, in and out of it for the last 15 years or so. Like, if there's one thing you can say about Josh Johnson is that he's got experience. You can't say anything else good about him. He said he's a smart guy, which he is. He's a very smart quarterback, which is why he's been on so many teams, which is why teams often bring him in during a week of turmoil at the quarterback position, because if you need someone to pick up the playbook quickly and be able to serve as a backup, Josh Johnson can do it. He's done it so many times in his career. There's no real superpower to Josh Johnson. There's no real advantage that he gives you. Let's just hope he doesn't vomit all over himself on Thursday. That's all you can hope for. He then talked about Jeff Driskel and getting him prepared for Thursday's game. And he said basically the thing that helps with Jeff Driskel is he was here last year. So while, there's still a learning curve for him and there's still some things that he's got to, get comfortable with, he knows the system. He's familiar with some of the guys that are on the team. And he's able to come in, and Kliff is like, he's comfortable enough in the playbook that I can just go to him, ask him what he likes, what he doesn't like, get rid of the things he doesn't like, and really hone in on the things that he is comfortable with. And remember, Driskel is very well versed in running no huddle offense with great efficiency. And so he's a guy that I think they trust a whole hell of a lot if he should have to be called upon on Thursday. Kliff was asked about a self-eval after the season, and he gave us the standard Dan Quinn answer, which is the right answer this time of the year. Hey, and we're still focused in on our opponents. We're trying to win football games. Really haven't had a chance to think about the offseason or my role this year and how things have gone. But he did acknowledge it was a challenging year. Clearly you didn't get to run the offense the way you wanted it to be ran because of all the injuries. But, you got to make do with what you have in this league. And then he was asked about a question that I answered yesterday. I had a mini rant about this yesterday. So he was asked, basically, Sam Hartman versus Jeff Driskel as backup. What factored into the decision to go get Jeff Driskel if you guys who you claim you love Sam and you really like what Sam has done, if you're so confident in Sam, why'd you feel the need to go get Jeff Driskel? And Kliff basically said, hey, look, on a short week, you need a guy with experience and a guy that, doesn't need a whole bunch of time to get ready. And so it just made a lot of sense to bring in a guy like Jeff, who's got experience, who's played in the system before. And if he needs to be called upon on Thursday, can be ready. And unlike a guy like Sam Hartman, who's never actually played in an NFL game, you don't want to have to put a young guy in that position. And I said, another good answer, Kliff. It's bullshit, but it's another good answer. Sam Hartman stinks. That's the answer. Like, you had a whole ass capable, able-bodied young quarterback that was sitting on the roster, who's been sitting on the roster for 2 years now, and you brought in a guy that hasn't been on your team all season, and in basically 3 days, you told that guy, you're my backup quarterback for Sunday, while you got a full, capable ass body, young quarterback sitting here who's been sitting here the entire year, and he's not good enough to be your backup quarterback on Thursday. You've already told us everything we need to know without saying a word. So that was Kliff Kingsbury's press conference. And so that will do it for today's show. I'm not going to go through the injury report but one time this week, and that'll be tomorrow when we figure out who's in, who's out. DQ gives his captains. I know you guys love that. And then we'll talk about the Dallas game. I really don't have a lot of energy for the Dallas game, as you can see. I'll have a little bit more energy for it tomorrow, though. We will go through behind enemy lines tomorrow for the game. Thursday, we'll have a very brief Commanders Nightly News that I'll probably pre-record, put out for Christmas morning. And then I will be live after the game. Yes, I am going to torture myself and my son. My son needs to see this. You want to be a Commanders fan? This is what this shit is all about. He's got to watch this. Okay. So I am going to torture my son, and I'm going to make him watch this game. No, I'm not going to make him watch this game. He's going to want to watch it until he realizes how bad it is. And then at that point, I'm going to talk him into just sitting down and watching the game. He's got to see this. He's got to understand, son, this life isn't for everyone. You sure you want in this, right? You sure you want into this? And then I will be live on Bleacher Report. And then after my Bleacher Report hit, I will be live on the channel on Christmas Day to break everything down if you're watching. God bless you if you do. Either way, I'll be here. The Kings are riding tonight in about 30 minutes over on the Commanders Kings channel, our Christmas special. Don't want to miss that. Hopefully you've got a little bit of time on your hands. Check us out. We'll be shooting the shit tonight, talking about the team that we love and all of its splendor. So with that said, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. You guys take care, and I will see you guys later on this evening, hopefully as a part of the Commander Kings. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for Commanders Nightly News. You guys take care. God bless. Peace.